had a promise made, 4 hands and then away, both under influence. We had divine sin to know what to say. Mind is a razor blade to call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? One night of magic rush, the start a simple touch. One night to push and scream, and then relief. 10 days of perfect tunes, the colors red and blue. We had a promise made, we were in love. To call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? To call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough? And you knew the hand of the devil, and you kept us awake with false teeth, sharing different heartbeats in one life. To call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? To call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough?
Okay, I am hopefully live and hopefully going to be discussing something super interesting for you guys today. My new Singer industrial machine. But first I gotta do a mic check. So bear with me on that. Okay, I'm back. So hopefully the background music isn't too loud for you guys. I am counting on you to let me know. Okay, get my coffee. I'm also super rusty today because I haven't done a stream in a little bit. So let's see if I can not screw it up today. You can see, let's see, there we go. Hey, hi. Okay, alright. So, today I am down here with my new industrial machine. It's not new, it was built in 1947, but it's new to me, and it's actually my first ever industrial machine, which is really exciting for me. I've wanted one for many years. The reason I didn't get one before the day before yesterday is because they're pretty expensive. Like a new one is, you know, a couple $1,000s, and I've had my eyes and ears out for an older one, and there's a lot of different kinds, there's a lot of different models and a lot of different reputations, but I finally found one that works pretty well for me. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk first just really quick about the sewing lesson I'm doing on the 25th. I'm hoping some of you join. And then I'm going to talk about the industrial machine and the difference between industrial machines, the difference between a new versus an old one, and some advice for someone who is wanting to sew, and especially somebody who wants to sew and is trying to figure out what kind of machine to buy. I do have some insight to that. So first, let me show you. All right, so this is the kind of thing we're sewing on the 25th, okay? And this here is the green pepper version of the pattern, but it's a sock pattern. I've posted about it on my blog, kelly.hogaboom.org. I have about 4 different patterns that are really similar that I've recommended. The one I'm going to be showing you is the Jali pattern. It's a PDF download. That means that you can be sitting here talking to me and you can go buy it for $6 or whatever and download it and print it, and you immediately have your pattern. This was green pepper. This is slightly different. Okay, the socks that we're going to sew on the 25th are made from a 4-way stretch. That means a fabric that stretches both in the length and the girth of the fabric. But those are a little bit hard to find in a fleece. So if you only have a 2-way stretch, then you can buy some of the other patterns in my post. But if you have more questions about that, you can ask me, like you can DM me or ask me here in the stream. But for now, I want people to consider making these. This is a bit of an unusual beginner project, but I promise you it's easy. One thing I like about it is, like, super beginners, I find that they're not that excited about making like a pot holder or a pillowcase. And so this is an opportunity for you to make something really cool. It's a bit of an unusual beginner project. Make something that's cool, and that, thank you, Paul, by the way, for your feedback, your audio feedback. That really helps me. This is a way for you to make something that's really cool, really fast. Like the first pair of socks we'll make, it'll probably take us like a half hour, okay? And because I'm going to be discussing it and being slow, like going slowly. And after you see how easy they are to make, you'll be able to make a pair of these in, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Great for presents, but they're also just like really great for you to have because they're really cozy. So that's the type of thing we're doing on the 25th. And go to my blog and you will find all the links about the fabrics you can get and the patterns. Okay, but otherwise I'll see you on the 25th, Friday. I'll be doing a live stream. Yes, Nicole, socks are so amazing. I absolutely agree. I didn't used to think they were important, but I'm older now and I love them. Okay, so that's the sew along I'm doing on the 25th, but most of this stream here is me talking about my industrial machine. So let me go find that. Where is it? It's here. Okay. Oh, you guys. This thing is a beast. Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to talk about just sewing machines in general first. Okay. A lot of people who want to sew get pretty caught up in what machine to buy. And I see people making a couple simple mistakes. Number one is I see people buying something from Sears or Walmart or Joann's, or I don't know, does Target have sewing machines? They buy some brand new plastic sewing machine that's somewhat affordable, a couple $100 type of a thing. I also see people spending a lot of money, like a couple $1,000 on something that's just awesome, like a Bernina or an Elna that's new, brand new. If you've got that kind of money for your first sewing machine, I think that's great, and that's a great way to go. Okay, I want to be clear about that. I have a FOF that's, you know, this is my youngest machine in the 90s. And that's, you know, like I bought it for literally $100, which was a great price. It was, I don't know, like 1600 or 900 or something when it came out new. And I knew enough to know that that was a good machine to buy. But if you don't know anything and someone will buy you, or you have the funds to buy you something brand new at the dealership, then you should do that, okay? And the second thing you should do is take the lessons that come with the new machine, okay? Most people I talk to don't have a couple $1,000 to spend on a machine. So I highly encourage you not to buy something from Joann's or Target or Sears or any of that, okay? I encourage you, if you don't have the money, to borrow your friend's machine. I don't see this happening enough. There's so many people that have machines that they don't use. Borrow their machine and pay to have it tuned up for them, and consider that your rental cost, okay? They might have some piece of crap machine that is not even worth tuning up, maybe, but the chances are it's good enough for you to get started. And that way you tune up your friend's machine, you haven't outlaid a lot of cash, okay? And you have something to start with. And the third option is buying a machine for yourself. People say the goofiest stuff, like you'll see a singer domestic. Let me show you a singer domestic, okay? You'll see, let's see if I can point my camera here. There we go. There we go. You see something like this, okay? It'll be on like Facebook, Marketplace, Craigslist, and someone will say that it's an industrial machine. Okay? It can sew through leather. Like, do not ask me why. Everybody talks constantly about whether a machine can sew through leather. I don't meet that many people who sew through leather, but this is not an industrial machine, okay? This is a domestic machine, okay? There's a lot of ways to know that. If there's a small motor, if the motor is attached to the machine, that's one way you know it's domestic. Another way is machines have serial numbers and model numbers, and if you have someone online who's trying to sell you something, you know, it's $200, or they say, oh, it's a vintage machine and a table, it's $350. That's probably too much, by the way. Ask them for that serial number. Serial numbers are in different places, but on like these old singers, they're always right here. You will be able to look up the exact make, model, even the date that the machine was made, and you can find out more about it. But this is a domestic machine. I have several of these. In fact, now that I'm moving towards industrial, I'm going to be selling and gifting a lot of my domestics, okay? These are perfectly adequate to learn how to sew. This machine was created in 1950. It's gonna last forever. One cool thing about these old singers, they made so many of them that it's really easy to find parts, and they're really cheap, okay? So these old machines are pretty cool, actually. Like I would steer someone in this kind of a direction over a brand new plastic machine from Joann's or whatever. There are some limitations. For instance, this is a straight stitch machine, okay? That means that it can't do a zigzag stitch, okay? There's actually a big ass like zigzag attachment you can put on this machine, which I'm not going to talk about today, but my point is, when you're getting any machine, you do kind of want to know what stitches you need. Let me take you around to my FOF, and you'll see what I'll kind of get. Ooh, look at that. This is a little goofy because my cord is okay. So here's my FOF, okay? So like I said, this was, I'm gonna guess, like $1,000 when it was put out in the 90s. And like I said, I got it for $100 because I know what I'm looking for. This thing is computerized. So there's like a little motherboard in there, which will sometimes fail, which is something that can be an issue. Where did I put my laptop? Okay. I just want to make sure you guys aren't asking questions that I'm skipping over. So give me a sec. Okay. So this is a better machine than what they have at Joann's, than what they have at Sears, definitely than what they have at Walmart, okay? And so if you found something like this online, okay, on, you know, Craigslist or OfferUp, and you could get it for a couple hundred, that's a great deal, okay? Look at how many stitches it has, okay? Guess how many of those I use? Like 2, literally 2. Now, some people might want to use all of those stitches, these stitches up here. But what I'm saying is that if you're just getting started, you don't need all this, okay? You need an embroidery attachment, all right? So that's why I'm suggesting that you borrow your friend's machine and tune it up, okay? And get yourself sewing, do your friend a favor, get the machine getting some use, and pretty soon you'll start to know like what you need with your machine, okay? Again, I'm moving towards industrial machines now. I have my first one I'm about to show you guys. But this will be my machine for a while. Like, it's going to be a minute before I get rid of this because it does have some functions that my new industrial does not. Okay. All right. Hello, Amy. Oh, Nicole. Nicole wants me to make something for her, I bet, right away on my new machine. Okay, so let's talk about my new machine. Here's another mistake I see people making all the time. They don't get the manual. They'll say, oh, I got this machine, it's blah, 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 it's an old whatever. How do I thread the bobbin? How do I do this? I say, do you have the manual? And they'll say no. And I'll say, go get one. They'll say, okay, and then they don't. Please get the manual. You can find it. It's out there. This is the manual that's not for this machine. I haven't printed this industrial's manual yet. I've been looking at it online to do what I've been doing with it. But this is an example. This is for my 201. It's another black Singer, a domestic one. Someone gave it to me about 14 years ago. It's such a beautiful machine. I'm probably going to be getting rid of it because I'm needing to make room for my industrial machines. But my point is, I was able to find this, and I can't remember if I downloaded it for free and then had it bound or if I bought it bound, but we're talking 10 bucks. Okay, you need this, you need the manual. Like, do not proceed. Do not ask me a bunch of questions if you haven't found your manual, okay? So, even a really simple manual will show you things like, well, it will give you the names for the sewing machine parts, okay? But really importantly, it will show you how to insert the needle, okay? You know what's funny is, like, so many people have their needle in wrong or their bobbin in wrong. People who don't know about sewing are always like, oh, it's the tension, but you need to make sure that you have it threaded properly. That's actually the first thing to check. Okay, so this manual that's small, bare bones, it's going to show you how to thread it, okay? You can have your machine slightly misthreaded and it'll work for a long time, and then one day it'll give you trouble and you won't know what it is, and you'll start to pursue all these exotic solutions, and it's literally that you've never had it threaded correctly. A manual is also going to show you how to put it in the bobbin. So for most machines, they're what we call a lock stitch. That means there's a thread from the top and a thread from the bobbin, and they get hooked together by the action of the motor driving the needle bar down with the top thread, and then the motor also rotating the bobbin race, and there's a little lock stitch. So most sewing machines that you and I are ever going to talk about are lock stitch machines, which means 2 threads, which means you have to have your needle in properly, you have to top thread properly, and the bobbin in correctly. Okay, so hopefully I made my point about the manual, and now I'm about to fire this homie up, and this is where you guys get to watch me take my hand off with. Yeah, Amy, so some domestic machines that I look at, the bobbin is just, people can have the wrong bobbins in their bobbin case, so they'll have problems forever. So that's something to know, that you need to know that you have the right bobbin in there. But you can also have the bobbin in the wrong way. I see that a lot. So basically, if your machine is not, if it's running, but you're getting snags or snarls or anything like that, you need to make sure you have a new needle, that it's in the machine properly, and that you have it properly threaded and the correct bobbin in and the bobbin in the right way. And that little list of about 5 things that I just rattled off is like 95%. It's, you know, it's probably not your tension or your timing or anything exotic. It's probably some of the things I just listed. And, you know, you'll go online and bitch about your sewing machine, and people will say, oh, the tension, blah, blah, like they just spout stuff they've heard. So I will talk about tension in a minute. But right now I'm getting ready to turn this on. Hi, Jessica. Hello. So it's a little hard for me to show you this, but also look at my chat. So if I don't get to you in a second, give me a minute. Okay, so this machine, oh my gosh, you guys, okay. I bought it from a woman. She had it priced a little high. I made her an offer and got it a little bit lower. It's an industrial machine. The way to know that is, I can tell by looking at it, but it's industrial machines, okay, they tend to have a more specialized function. This one makes a straight stitch, okay? It doesn't go backwards. It doesn't go sideways. It goes straight. People take this model of machine and they mess with the needle bar and they mess with the bobbin assembly, and they will put this goofy foot here that's like a giant wheel, and they will sew through multiple layers of thick, scary vinyl. And that was one reason I knew this machine would work for me, because I'm not doing thick, scary vinyl. I'm making coats and jeans, and I want a super even top stitch. I should have brought down a pair of my jeans that I've made. I could talk a tiny bit about jeans. I've got a pair of silvers here. They're not the ones I've made. So that you guys know what I'm talking about when I say top stitch. Okay. Hello, Kathy. So jeans are like, please do not let me talk about jeans too much, but I'm obsessed with them, as is all of America. Jeans are actually fairly, don't tell anyone I said this, but they're not that tricky of a garment. They have just a few simple blocks. It looks like they have lots of parts. I know it does, but I've put together a few sew-alongs. I'm happy to show you exactly how to make jeans from scratch. Make your own pattern, make your own pockets and all that. But for the purposes of what I'm talking about today, top stitching is what makes jeans so unique. That is this thick thread that is highly visible on the jean. Like if you think of trousers don't have all this top stitching. I'm not going to talk about the history of jeans, but they were originally like a working class, like blue collar type of a garment. And of course now you can buy jeans for, you know, $1,000 or raw denim for $800 or whatever, right down to the, you know, $15 pair at Walmart. And those $800 pair and that $15 pair are going to be really similar in terms of construction. But this top stitching, I wanted a machine that could give me a super even top stitch. If you follow me, you know that I get a super even, amazing top stitch, but on a domestic machine, it's kind of tricky. Like, and I just wanted to try something that was faster and, I don't know, like my top stitching on my home jeans looks better than this commercial pair of silvers for sure. And so my new industrial is going to be even better. Hello, Heather. Okay, so that's why I got this machine, not to sew through leather, like people are always yelling about. Can it sew through leather? By the way, a lot of machines can sew through leather, and what's really tricky is the foot. You need a Teflon foot or something similar. So if you're a leather sewer and you need assistance, let me know. So I saw this machine online, made an offer, went out, tested it, it's fine. This was the dirtiest machine I have seen in a long time. So I am actually going to turn it on. I don't know how loud. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys because it's not mic'd. Okay. This is just kind of vintage sewing machine 101. This is called the machine head. The machine head is hooked to the motor by a belt, okay? And there's an external motor down under the table. And if I was to release this belt, okay, I could step on the motor and the belt would probably fly around. It's not a good idea. But my point is nothing on the machine would move, okay? The machine is just a physical, like, heavy ass. It's not loud. Thank you, Nicole. It's not that loud, really. It's just louder than my domestics, so that it's been a shock for me. It's super dirty. Look. So yesterday when I was doing most of the cleaning, I took the machine out of the table and then I pulled the oil pan out. Okay, the oil pan was so incredibly dirty. The machine had not been cared for at all, as far as I could tell, for many years. This again, this machine's from 1947. This is the original gooseneck lamp. I am told that they are somewhat coveted and sought after. I'm going to pretty much ignore it and get a clamp lamp that is brighter because this is not bright enough for me. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the oil pan. And I'm going to be so careful not to touch the pedal. So here's another difference between a lot of industrial machines versus a home machine. Okay. A home machine, a domestic machine, has these little tiny holes in it, and you drip this tiny little bottle of oil. Let me show you if I can find it. Some machines are oilless, apparently, but most machines aren't. A domestic machine, you drip this into tiny holes. Okay. In fact, for my bobbin winder here, that's what this whole assembly is right here. That's actually how you oil the bobbin winder. I'm gonna go ahead and oil it right here. Okay. And that's what you do for a domestic machine. But for an industrial machine, okay, there is this giant ass pan of oil. And if you saw my pictures yesterday, it was disgusting and scary what was in there. I don't think it had been cleaned in years. And it wasn't a matter of taking so here I dumped oil. After I cleaned it, I dumped a bunch of oil in the pan. I'm going to go into the technical, hi Tammy, some of the technical pieces of the machine, which is probably not very interesting to very many people. So yeah, here we're looking at, that light doesn't really make it better, does it? This is the pan that the oil hangs out in, and this is the uptake right here. There's a screen right here. I took that off, inspected it. There's a propeller under here, and there's this tiny groove right here. And that is where the oil gets pulled through and up through the machine, okay? The machine is so clever, and it actually oils over here, the second sort of thread assembly, which is the, scary, which is the bobbin, okay? So here's the bobbin. So there's a gasket here that I was a little concerned about, but although it was filthy, I was able to carefully take it out, and it's fine. It's not leaking anywhere. I've got it really, really clean. I'm extremely pleased. This here is kind of cool. This lifts the needle bar, and there is a, off camera you can't see it, but there's a knee lever right here. And my domestic machines have a knee lever that will run the machine, but this is actually a knee lever that lifts the presser foot. And so that might be interesting to see if I have a little trouble if I'm going to be switching back and forth, because That's like if you had a car where all of a sudden the steering wheel turned into a brake, and then you had to get back and forth in between that car and your normal car. So anyway, I'm gonna sew a couple stitches on this, homie. Oh, I guess I should talk a tiny bit. So this is the stitch regulator. The person I bought this from was not aware that you can actually change the length of the stitch. So you depress a plunger and it drops down into a what's called an eccentric, which is like a tooth gear, and you can mess with your stitch length. The whole point of this machine is I want a really consistent stitch length, and so I'm not going to mess with it that much, but it's pretty lo-fi. That's why it looks like, for anyone who's familiar with the domestic, it just looks like nothing's happening over here, you know. So all you've got is the stitch length. It doesn't go in reverse, doesn't go in zigzag. Obviously, here's the serial number down here. Let's see. I did not write mom on this machine. Serial number, model number. Okay. Old Singer, tons of parts. Like that's one of the benefits. There's so many parts. They're pretty cheap, so you can keep this thing running forever, really inexpensively. Actually. I should be able to do any work on it. I don't have to hire anyone to do any work. All right, so I'm already a tiny bit used to the speed, but it's fast. This is me running it slow, which I couldn't even do when I first bought it. Let's go ahead and do a long strip. Let's see. Oh, see, I'm already not. I keep using my hand to lift up the presser foot instead of. So this is me using my knee, which is what I should be doing. It's just going to take me a while to get used to it. I just got this machine yesterday, and late the night before, and I've been cleaning it the whole time. And so pretty fast. You have to do this goofy thing where you step on the foot pedal to be able to turn the hand wheel towards you. I've got a white bobbin thread, so you can see this is how I'd balance my tension. Okay. I'm about to switch to a darker bobbin because I'm about to make my first garment on this machine, and I want my two threads to match. But I've got a balance stitch, and I broke my thread, but that's no biggie. So tension, I'll talk about tension a tiny bit. Again, a lock stitch machine, most machines that you see there's a top thread and a bottom thread, and the needle dips down and the bobbin makes a little rocking motion and the little loop is formed, and then the feed dogs here, these little teeth, they pull the fabric forward and another loop is made. Okay, you can see little videos and little graphics of how that works. Okay, so you need the tension on the thread on the top and the tension on the bobbin thread to match, and that's why people always talk about tension on sewing machines. Okay, and the way you'll know if the tension matches is if on this side of the work you have little individual stitches that have a tiny gap through them, and if you look on the other side and you see the same thing. Okay, you can look up a lot of videos and tutorials about tension. Hi Andrea, hello Ray, hello Hannah. But the main thing to know about tension in a lock stitch machine is that you mostly want to mess with the top tension. You do not want to take out your bobbin, which I'm about to do to show you, and start messing with the bobbin tension unless you absolutely have to. Okay, so again, like I said, make sure you have the right needle in a new needle, the needle's the correct direction, and that you have the right bobbin, and that your bobbin and your top needle are threaded properly according to the manual. And if you're having trouble, tension is the next thing to look at. Top tension, not bottom. So the tension on this thread is a function of all these little bars and hooks that the thread runs through, but this is where we control it. to simplify things. Okay, so this is where if your tension doesn't look good, you'll dick around. Okay, I'll take the bobbin case out though for you. So some of you have sewn and have seen a bobbin case before. I was raised sewing on a drop-in bobbin, so I didn't see a bobbin case for many years, but now I'm pretty familiar with them. It looks like a little helmet. You want to make sure you have the correct bobbin in, and that it goes off the bobbin the correct direction. And actually I'm about to switch because, like I said, I'm going to sew something. So I am weaseling my bobbin off the bobbin winder, and I'm sticking that in there. And I will be sewing, I'll put this back in. I will be sewing on a light garment at first. Okay, I think the guy sold me the wrong types of bobbins because it's not fitting very nicely. And this is the goofiest thing about, yeah, he did. Okay, so I'm super irritated, but okay. This is the goofiest thing about sewing, in my opinion. Hi, Brian. The world online of sewing, the online world is mostly dominated by women. And the online world of fixing industrial sewing machines is mostly, I would say like 70% to 80% men. And the difference between those communities is hilarious, and I look forward to telling you more about that. Men seem to, you know, talk to me like I know nothing when I ask a question. But a guy yesterday that I went to see for bobbins did sell me the wrong bobbins. I brought the right serial number and all of that, and I said, "Are you sure those are right?" He said yes, but he was wrong. So if you have a machine, you want to have a lot of bobbins. You want to have the right bobbin, and you want to have a lot of them. Okay, I have to tell you a cute little story. I don't think she's watching my live feed, but my friend, I had a friend who came over, oh gosh, I don't know, I want to say like 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and she wanted me to teach her to sew, and when we pulled out the bobbin, I could tell it had been wound by hand, which has to take a long time. And she told me her husband wound it for her, and I thought that was like the sweetest thing I had ever heard in my life. But basically, most machines have a bobbin winder. Okay, mine is this. It will use the action of the belt to wind the bobbin. And it's a little bit sticky because, like I said, this thing was super, was not cared for, but those days are over and it's going to be really well cared for now. But I actually sold a sewing machine of mine recently that had a bobbin winder problem, and so you can buy separate bobbin winders too. They're called side winders. Isn't that cool? But you want to own a lot of bobbins, and you want to own a lot of the right kind of needle. And the same guy that sold me the wrong bobbins also gave me some needles, so we will see if that's what's going on there. These needles are pretty heavy. Okay, so like to sew jeans, you generally would want like a 14 or 16 needle, and these are probably like 20s, 18. This machine, with or without modification, can go up to like a 24, like just a needle that is really, really thick. And in general, the heavier the needle, the heavier the thread. There's different descriptions of thread weight and needle weight, but that's like way past the point of this discussion here. Okay, so I'm a little disappointed. I do not have the right bobbin, but I am basically ready to sew on this thing. I'm trying to think if there's any other part that is interesting. No, I don't think so. So I could talk about the different parts of the needle. I could talk about the oil system more, but for now, I think I'm going to be signing off pretty soon. And, you know, this thing is a beast. If you're new-ish to sewing, I do not recommend that you get a So this is me sewing as slow as possible with all of the control that I have at my disposal. And if you're new, you won't want to learn on one of these, or you might, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary to go to great lengths to find an industrial machine. For the purposes of my jeans and my outerwear, I am going to be looking for an industrial zigzag and an industrial bar tacker and maybe some chain stitch machines. My friend yesterday said, do you have enough room for all of that? And I said, no, of course I don't. That means I'm going to be selling and moving on a lot of my domestic machines and just finding room, you know. So, yeah, if you have any questions at all about your machines, if you already have a machine, get the manual and pay to get it tuned up, okay? If you're shopping for a machine, ask if you've got a friend who can loan you one and pay for that to get tuned up. If you go online and you say, oh, my friend has a Kenmore blah, 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 is this a good machine? You're going to get you're going to get people who are like, no, it's not a good machine, but they also are saying you need to buy a $2,000 machine, and you just don't necessarily have that option. So it's kind of subjective about what's a good machine or not. But I would say do not buy something plastic that's brand new from a retail store. That's a pretty good rule. And you know, I've told people not to do it, and they did it anyway, and then the dang thing broke like within the first job that they had. And I've seen people that buy one of those, and it literally does not work when we open it, like out of the box. Okay, so definitely, yeah, Ray, it is cool. Hi, Jeffrey. Let me see if I can get my face cam back on here. Okay. So I hope that like a little introduction to my industrial machine, but also kind of like a basic primer for buying a sewing machine. The other thing is, like, you need to actually use it. If you buy a machine, barely use it, don't have it tuned up, and you'll run into a problem, you'll get frustrated, you'll put it away, and in your mind you have a bad machine and it needs to be fixed, and it probably is user error. Tuning a machine up is always a good idea. That's like an $80, $90 expense, but it's not reasonable to think of having a machine and never have it maintained and never have it taken care of. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them down here. As you can imagine, because I've had this thing for a couple days and I've been cleaning it, I am dying to sew on it. So I'm gonna like end this little broadcast, and I'm like super happy to answer any questions you have. And yeah, I will probably tomorrow be posting a picture of the first thing I make on my new industrial machine. Okay, so everyone have an awesome Saturday, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.